Hey out there, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of the angriest of the okayest MTG content creator. I think it has been quite a while since we did a video. I'm looking at a month, but we are back today, and we're going to be talking about some cool new cards from Edge of Eternities. So let's get right into it. So, the commander we're talking about for today is Hearthhull the Worldseed. And I personally have bought this precon and upgraded it extensively. So I think I'm going to be able to give you guys some great ideas of how to upgrade the deck and all the great things about it. So let's get right into it. Hearthhull is interesting because he is a spacecraft, which is a new card type from Wizards of the Coast. It has a power and toughness. It acts a little bit like a vehicle, but you have to basically crew it, for lack of a better term, but the term they're using is station. So you tap your creatures according to their power, you give it that much charge counters, and once it has enough charge counters up to that number, it gets those abilities and they stay there. Now Hearthhull is great. It's a 6/7, and once it's up to 8 charge counters, it has flying, vigilance, and haste, and it's a creature. And then it also says whenever you sacrifice a land, each opponent loses 2 life. At 2 charge counters, you can pay 1, tap it, sack a land, and draw 2 cards, and can play an additional land on that turn. So he's doing a lot, and the game plan is to sack lands for value. Because when you sack lands, you can draw cards, you can play additional lands, you can drain your opponent's life. It's a very fun, actually very powerful commander that can win out of nowhere. And I'm going to show you just how it does that. So we're going to go into some of the best new cards that came out in the precon. So this is the alternate commander, or one of, Zarel, Genesis Shepherd, a 2/5 flying that lets you play lands from your graveyard. And whenever you sack another non-token permanent during your turn, put a number of 1/1 counters equal to Zarel's power on up to one other target creature. I still found Hearthhull to be the more powerful commander, but I think Zarel could definitely be a great choice if he built around it correctly. Next we got Horizon Explorer. He's a 2/4, says your lands enter untapped, which is insanely already. Just that is going to do so much for your deck. And whenever you attack a player, make a lander token, which is basically like a token version of a Rampant Growth. Evandu Brush Rager says whenever you sack a non-token permanent, exile the top card of your library. During your turn, as long as you sacked a non-token permanent this way, you may play cards exiled with this creature. So they just stay in exile and you can play them as long as you have this creature. That's huge. And you sack a land and add 2 green. 2 red, excuse me. Exploration Broodship for 1 green. You can station him up to 3 and play an additional land on each of your turns. Already pretty good. But then you can station him up to 8, and he's a flying 4/4 who says, once during each of your turns you may cast a permanent spell from your graveyard by sacking a land in addition to paying its cost. This is a lot like Retrace, but instead of discarding a land, you sacrifice a land. Synergizes really well with the commander. Planetary Annihilation. So everyone's been talking about this card because it sort of seems like mass land destruction in a precon. Each player chooses 6 lands they control and then sacrifices the rest. Planetary Annihilation deals 6 damage to each creature. So it's a little bit of a board wipe, but let me tell you, I've cast this against a Simic player who had like 26 lands on the battlefield, and he was not happy. But this is exactly the type of situation this card was made for. I think Wizards is starting to see how out of control land ramping has become, and I'm probably one of the worst offenders. So even I can admit that, like, sometimes lands need to be kept in check a little bit. And this is just an awesome card, and it doesn't slow the game down. Everyone still has something to do with 6 lands. And then we got Tenet, Memorial Ensign. He was not in the precon. I added him, but I think he's just too good. His landfall says whenever a land you control enters, he does 1 damage to each opponent, And if it's the second time this ability is resolved this turn, you draw a card. I've heard some people building whole decks around this guy, and I can see why, because it can get out of control quick. And now we're going to go into what I think some of the best cards to add to the deck are. So let's get right into that. There's quite a few. So it's not a landfall deck per se, but there's going to be some overlap with lands. But Ramanap Excavator lets you play lands from your graveyard. You're always going to want access to those lands you sacrificed. Same thing with Crucible of Worlds. Undergrowth Recon. I think this is a slept-on card from Merzit Karlov Manor that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, you return a target land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So I think it's a great add. Walk-in Closet. So, just so you can see both sides, already lets you play lands from your graveyard. Very good, but the Forgotten Cellar says if you unlock this door, you can cast spells from your graveyard this turn. And if a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile instead. So, basically gives you a little bit of graveyard recursion and of course all the land recursion, so I think it's a great add. Ancient Greedborn, play lands from your graveyard and he doubles up your landfall triggers. He's awesome. And I thought let's go forward more with the Tanic damage on landfalls with Sabotender from the Final Fantasy set. Deals 1 damage to each opponent when a land you control enters. And if you want, you could also add Spitfire Lagak. He's a little more expensive. He's been basically power crept out by Tanic and Sabotender, but he does the same thing. Damage on landfall. Scoot Swarm is just a ridiculous card, and if you want to be that person to get a million bugs onto your battlefield, it's a great add. I thought Obnixilis of Fallen was a cool add because when you have lands enter, you can have a player just lose 3 life, and then he gets 3 1/1 counters, becomes a big beater. I don't know, maybe it's a pet card, but I thought it was cool. Mossborn Hydra is kind of a no-brainer in any landfall deck. It just gets huge, it has the trample, and it's ridiculous. We also got Lotus Cobra. He's amazing, just propels your game forward so quickly with 1 sack land. Also got Tireless Provisioner, get lands, get treasures, you can get foods if you're in a food strategy, but it was a no-brainer. Dryad, we got this thirst trap of a Dryad here who says play an additional land on each of your turns, and now your lands are every basic land type in addition to their other types. So he's fixing, he gets you another land to play each turn. He's great. Seedborn Muse, I thought this was great because now we could do all our things with tapping our Hearthhull and our other creatures, and then untap all our permanents, and on our opponent's turns do it again. Just draw way more cards, do way more things. Will of the Sultai was an obvious one for me. It's just another way to get all of your lands out of your graveyard and back on the battlefield, all those landfall triggers. So we're putting so many lands in the graveyard, bringing them back out, and making one of our creatures huge. Probably do it to Hearthhull. Treasured Find was just a random recursion piece I added. I thought for 2 mana, get a target card from your graveyard to your hand. Not a bad rate. Alright, here's some of the meaty, juicy targets here. Sylvan Safekeeper. Sack a land. Target creature you control gains Shroud until end of turn. So these land sack outlets are going to be huge in Hearthhull. This is a great one because you can protect creatures and it's just a free land sack outlet. Orcish Lumberjack, he only sacks 1 because you have to tap him, but he adds 3 mana if you sack a forest in any combo of red or green, and he only costs 1 to cast. So I thought he would be a great choice. Intis Restoration, this is the kind of land ramp you want in this deck. To sack a land and then go get 2 or even 3 more basic lands to the battlefield tap. Greater Gargadon. So this one is a weird one, but I thought it works great. You can suspend it for 10 red and then sack an artifact creature or land and remove a time counter from him. So if we get him on the battlefield as a 9/7, great. If not, we have a pretty massive land sack outlet. And then Zurin Orb. 0 cost artifact, sack a land, gain 2 life. This one made a game, honestly. I sacked 14, 17 lands and did 35 to each of my opponents. So it was a just obvious include. And of course, if you can afford Scape Shift, sack any number of lands, go find that many lands, put them on the battlefield tapped. That's basically the game plan with this commander, is just to sack lands, go get more, and just loop them in and out of the graveyard. And that's pretty much it. I think Hearthhull is an amazing commander. I'm a little late getting this information to everybody. I apologize. But if you pick up this commander and build around it, I think you're going to have a great time. And with that, this has been the okayest MTG content creator. You have a great day.